everyone. So today we're going to see the chapter Sustainability and the need for sustainable agriculture. So what does sustainability mean in our context? It means growing crops in such a way that the resources required to grow those crops aren't depleted in such a way that we can't use them anymore. So let's get to the introduction. With the onset of the industrial age, which occurred in the 18th century, there was rapid modernization and the transfer of people from rural areas to urban cities. So it led to various trends which have led to our present state. So let's see which changes this industrial age brought. Number one, the quick rise in population, which means there were more people to feed. Number two, the greater need for production, which means more farms were required to produce the food required. Number three, the increase in urbanism. Urbanism led to more cities being built, and to give way to these cities, farms were destroyed. So there was more work but lesser farms. Number four, widespread ecological impacts. There was faith in technological, political, and economic fixes. Today, the less developed countries are following a similar trend. Many farmers in these countries choose to grow cash crops rather than subsistence crops. We know cash crops are the crops which are grown to gain money, whereas subsistence crops or food crops are grown for consumption. The regions reliant upon cash crops tend to develop adverse long-term environmental problems. So here's a graph showing the difference between the growth of Kenya, a less developed country, and USA, which is a developed country. So we learned that this mass production leads to many negative impacts. So let's see that. Human impacts. Number one, farmland destruction. Number two, damage to soil fertility. Number three, reduced nutritional value of food. Number four, decreased economic, social and cultural values. Now let's see the environmental damages. Number one, reduced biodiversity. Number two, habitat destruction. Number three, deforestation. Number four, water, air and soil pollution. Number five, salinization and desertification. Salinization is the process in which the water bodies contain so much of salt that they get from all these fertilizers, manures, that they are no longer fit for drinking. And desertification is conversion of farmlands into basically barren lands or deserts. Number six, decline in water resources and land subsistence. For the past several years, research has looked at sustainable agriculture as a potential solution to correct and prevent these problems. We've seen the introduction. Let's see the definition of sustainable agriculture. Sustainable agriculture was addressed by Congress in the Food, Agriculture, Conservation and Trade Act of 1990. Under that law, the term sustainable agriculture means an integrated system of plant and animal production practices having a site-specific application that will over the long term, number one, satisfy human food and fiber needs, number two, enhance environmental quality and the natural resource base upon which the agricultural economy depends, number three, make the most efficient use of non-renewable resources and on-farm resources and integrate where appropriate natural biological cycles and controls. Number four, sustain the economic viability of farm operations. Number five, enhance the quality of life of farmers and society as a whole. we've seen the definition, let's see the goal of sustainable agriculture. The goal of sustainable agriculture is to minimize adverse impacts to the immediate and off-farm environments while providing a sustained level of production and profit. Inherent to this goal is the understanding that sustainability must be extended not only globally but indefinitely in time and to all living organisms, including humans. Simply stated, sustainable agriculture refers to the ability of a farm to produce food indefinitely without causing irreversible damage to ecosystem health. Now let's see the traditional methods of farming. Number 1. Water harvesting and rainfall. Today 80% of crop production worldwide relies on rainfall. Mesoamerican farms are often looked upon as proof of past functioning sustainable agricultural systems because of crop rotation, natural fertilizers, raised fields, terraces, irrigation canals, swamps, lakes, home gardens, and tree culture. Now let's see the traditional methods. Let's see the modern methods. Today's sustainable farming practices commonly include number 1. Crop rotations that mitigate weeds, disease, insect and other pest problems, provide alternative sources of soil nitrogen, reduce soil erosion and reduce risk of water contamination by agricultural chemicals. Number 2. Pest control strategies that are not harmful to natural systems or people, which include techniques that reduce the need for pesticides by practices such as scouting, use of resistant cultivars, timing of planting, and biological pest controls. Number 3. Increased mechanical or biological weed control. Number 4. Soil and water conservation practices. Number 5. Strategic use of animal and green manures. Number 6. Use of natural or synthetic inputs in a way that poses no significant hazard to man, animals, or the environment. So now that we've seen all of these practices, let's see how they help the soil and the environment. A. Crop rotation keeps the soil healthy. B. Mixed farms allow the use of livestock manure. C. Conserving natural areas protect our environment. D. Small changes in practices can help rather than harm the environment. E. Grass-fed livestock control weeds without chemicals or mowing. F. Science can determine the right amount of fertilizers and pesticides required for our farms. G. Farming removes nutrients and fertilizers and manures replace them. H. Farming multiple crops allows farmers to reduce their financial risks by having multiple products to sell. Now that we have seen sustainable agriculture, let's compare it to organic agriculture. Organic farming excludes the use of synthetic inputs such as synthetic fertilizers, pesticides, herbicides, and GMOs, whereas sustainable agriculture does not. Sustainability aims to balance what is taken out of the soil with what is returned to it without relying on outside inputs. This is not necessarily a concern of organic farming. Organic farms constitute only a small percent of farms without a minor impact on the environment. Sustainable agriculture aims to make positive changes on all farms. In the future, large organic farms that rely on machinery and automation and purchased inputs will have similar sustainability issues that large conventional farms do today. Now let's see The positives of the politics and economics related to sustainable agriculture. Number 1. Economic incentives may be used to encourage the use of more environmentally friendly farming techniques and technologies. Sustainable practices can save farmers money because of the reduced need to buy pesticides, herbicides, fertilizers, etc. Number 3. Sustainable farms tend to have multiple crops leading to both financial security and subsistence for the farmer. Number 4. Laws, both local and global, could enforce protective standards. 5. Education of environmental situations may help farmers to make better choices. Now that we've seen the positives, let's see the negatives. Number 1. Sustainable development is constrained by economic growth. The transition from conventional to sustainable farming is usually costly. Number 2. Development is viewed as coinciding with consumption. Number 3. There are vast international inequalities of resource consumption, making it hard for many to farm effectively. Number 4. Enforcement of environmental regulations may be blocked by political and/or economic advances. Thank you for tuning in for this chapter. If you have any doubts or queries, you can comment down below and our team would be more than happy to get back to you. Thank you.